Arsenal fought back to earn a point against Manchester City, and in seasons go by, that would have been quite a positive outlook for most Arsenal fans. But in the context of this season and with how Liverpool have been going, many Arsenal fans aren't happy. But if we can take one positive from the game, Eberechi showed that he can be Arsenal's creative solution in the attacking third. In today's video, we will be reviewing his performance and why many Arsenal fans should be excited for the future. Before I begin, please do hit the subscribe and the like, but let's get on with the video. So let's firstly talk about the lineup, and I mean, my word, was there a lot of debate about this. Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Zubimendi, Rice, Marino, Madueke, Trossard, Gyökeres. I think the main talking points was obviously William Saliba returning, but Mikel Merino starting ahead of Eberechi and Ethan Nwaneri. And to be honest, when I saw this lineup, I was quite confident. I felt as though this is a team that was set up to prioritise the out of possession stuff. And I do have slight sympathy for Mikel Arteta in the sense that if it was Havertz available and fit, he probably wouldn't have played Merino. Having someone like Gyökeres and Eze, two new players in our press, in our out of possession shape, it can be quite difficult. But I know maybe Arteta was a bit too conservative and he could have played Eze and gone for it. And I think after watching the game, you probably felt that should have been the case. And with Trossard, I feel as though he deserved his start. Could have been him or Martinelli. But I think we definitely needed a primary ball handler to play on that left-hand side, whether it was Trossard, Eze or Nwaneri for the middle. So yes, it's frustrating, but let's now get into the context of the game. And the first thing I want to talk about is Pep Guardiola and the way he had City set up. He set up in a 5-5-0 at times, a 5-4-1 in sometimes. This is a game or a style that Pep Guardiola has never played. So I think Arsenal and us fans should be proud that we're forcing a manager so against this sort of way of playing to do so. He accepted he was the weaker team and he had City set up in a really, really difficult shape to break down. And actually, his worst two possession stats across his whole managerial career came up against Arsenal away from home, obviously in the 1-1 draw that we just had, and in February 2023 against Arsenal away from home again. So it goes to show Pep Guardiola is maybe not afraid to do a more counter-attacking style against Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. But where I actually want to start is where Arsenal were pretty good in the first half. And Raya has possession of the ball, and you'll actually see positives and the negatives of the Mikel Arteta lineup here. Because look at this quality. Raya on the ball, you can see Manchester City are quite primed and sort of ready to come into the press. Haaland is there. You've got Bernardo Silva on there. You've got Doku ready to pounce there. But let's watch this sequence sort of progress and how Manchester City decided to attack things. The ball, obviously from Raya, went into the path of William Saliba. And you can see, like I said, this is in the first half. Erling Haaland is ready to be the press trigger so the rest of the City guys can get involved. And this is where Arsenal were really impressive at times. It wasn't just this only scenario that I'm showing you, but others as well. William Saliba plays a lovely ball into the path of Marino. And this is where Marino works in this role because he's a player who can operate in the final third, but he has the ability to play nice weighted passes like this if the space is there. And I think that is the big if. And in this occasion, the space was there, and you can see Mikel Merino's body weight was to play a first-time ball through the centre of the pitch. And that is what we see. He finds Declan Rice and he can attack the space. But this is where the problem now lies. If you've got Marino meant to be our more attacking option, picking up the ball in those deeper areas, who's now going to receive from Rice in those pockets? And I think that's where Arsenal really did struggle because Gyökeres is a runner. He's not going to drop deep and do the false nine stuff so that Mikel Merino being that deep won't be an issue. So I feel as though Marino and Gyökeres, that partnership is proving to be quite ineffective in terms of what both players offer. Because if you're having a Marino profile, Gyökeres needs to be dropping in these areas to receive in the pockets and be comfortable there. But he's not that profile, he's not that sort of player, and that's absolutely fine. So as this sequence sort of progresses, we see Declan Rice get into a really nice area, but he plays that to Madueke, and Madueke is isolated and he loses that 1v1 duel against Nico O'Reilly. That's because Marino's far too deep. He hasn't got that sort of access point in the number 10 role, and that can happen. That can happen, especially with Marino in the side, and I can see Arsenal fans' frustration there. But that first bit, you can argue it wouldn't have happened if it was an Eze in there, if it was a Nwaneri in there. Look, we never know. That's the thing about hindsight. But this passage of play showed we needed someone in close proximity of Madueke to give him the ball. And I think Madueke was showing effects of tiredness across this game, which obviously it makes sense. He's played a lot of football in the last couple of weeks for England and for Arsenal, playing full 90s. But I think now we can sort of progress into the role of Eberechi, and it was quite funny. One of his first actions was to be really aggressive in the press and win the ball back. So all that talk of me saying out of possession stuff, Eze, may be quite difficult to put him next to Gyökeres. His first action was a message to Mikel Arteta. Look, I can do it. Look at how he presses here onto Josko Gvardiol. He, in the end, wins possession, and it's onto Gyökeres to go forward. So Eberechi Eze here has shown Mikel Arteta through his first action, I can do this out of possession stuff. And Arsenal were able to advance and look at the space in front of Gyökeres. And it was quite unlucky that someone like Bukayo Saka was back here, because he was in the end crowded out, in the sense he did pretty well in this situation. Actually, he did play it out to Saka. But you can see the sort of impact of Eze right away. The first action, that's what you want to see. Can you show your manager, look, I can do the out of possession stuff? And he absolutely did. But we're more here to talk about what he did on the ball. And actually his first opportunity in around the box was a shot. And look at his position here. This is the main difference when you have an Eberechi Eze in this role. If Marino was in here, I'll be honest, he'll probably be occupying these areas, or probably be in and around there. He wouldn't be waiting ready to be in a position like this to strike the ball. He's more of a box presence. He doesn't really want to be doing the intricate stuff outside the box, the long shots like that. He can do it, of course he can. He's a professional footballer. But this is Eze's zone. Often what we see with Ødegaard, getting the right positions, not being dynamic enough. But the strike was really, really good. Just to see, obviously I can't show you it, but look at his body and his shape. This is a true ball striker, someone who's really, really confident in their ability and strikes the ball so clearly. And in the end, to be honest with you, it is a really, really good save from Donnarumma. But just look at the style, the way he's striking that ball. It's a true 10 strike. It really, really is. And, you know, what I really liked as well was the sort of pockets of space he was picking up in and around here. You know, you're looking at the way that City is set up here with Bernardo, Haaland and Doku. It's designed to block that pass going in. It was almost like a mid-block at the start, which developed into a low block. But as soon as Eze came on, he was asking questions in those pockets. It was as simple as that, somebody willing to receive from Timber. And that's, as Arsenal fans, that's what we want to be seeing. We want to be seeing, you know, triangles like this, if I can try and get it for you, being formed. This is what we want to be seeing. Eze, Bukayo Saka, Timber, all in close proximity to be dynamic, to be penetrative. And in the end, I mean, look at this action. This is what you just do not get. You just do not get that from any other player. And here it is. Sorry, it skipped one. Look at his body weight again. Look at the way he struck the ball in the early one I show you. Now look at the way he lets the ball run across his body. Dynamic, forward thinking, penetrative, forceful. Look, there's so many words I can give to this. But the way his body is angled is a positive action. That's all Arsenal fans wanted to see. Somebody willing to receive the ball on the half turn with the strength, the engine to be able to fend off a midfielder like Reinders. I don't think anyone else in the squad can do this except maybe Ethan Nwaneri in these central zones, and of course Saka and maybe Madueke. But Eze's maturity, experience to let it roll across his body and get Bukayo Saka in a position where he can receive 1v1 up against Nico O'Reilly. Look at him. He's gone from Reinders. This is Eze here. Completely left Reinders for dead. And look at Saka on that right flank, ready to receive in a forward area to go 1v1. That is all we wanted to see as Arsenal fans. Our number 8, number 10, receiving in a pocket, being dynamic, letting the ball run across his body, a positive action, and release our winger 1v1. Because now, not only has Eze done that, he's an attacking third player. He's going to make that run. And that gives more access, more angles for Saka to work with. It's as simple as that. And I do sort of now see it. If we had gone with this approach from the start, I think we wouldn't even be in the situation we were in, or we would have been able to fight back from the adversity that we were originally in versus Manchester City when they went a goal up. Here is another action. And this was just beautiful. You can even see, this is Declan Rice punching that ball in between the lines to Eze over here. And look, that's a difficult ball. But this is the thing. When you've got players that are ready to receive in those pockets, the players on the ball that are passing to them feel confident to punch those balls through. If that hadn't gone, I wouldn't have been mad with Declan Rice. But it's knowing your players. If that's Marino in that pocket, I don't think Declan Rice punches it in there. You know your players. You know how someone's going to react to a ball into them in the middle park. And Eze is the right player to be receiving in here. And you can see the lack of space in between Reinders and Doku for the pass. But he believes, and Eze was finding some really nice pockets. So those questions about Eze, which was there, can he operate in Ødegaard's zone? Can he do the out position stuff? Can he link with Saka? Is the relationship going to be good? I think we're seeing it. And just look at how he receives it on the turn, and look at that. 2 players out the game for City. And that's brilliant from Declan Rice, but brilliant from Eze. Right place. And look at his first action. He's receiving to go forward. So everything he's doing is with positivity and with purpose. So you're seeing me use a lot of these sort of words, but that's exactly what I'm seeing from Eberechi, Eze. And of course, the ball goes into Saka, who again gets another 1v1. So look at this, St. James's Park, Etihad, Anfield. Look, if you have a player willing to do this, you're going to score goals, you're going to create. So when people say Arsenal can't create, I'm looking at these actions from Eze. He's shown Arteta he can be a true floating 10. And it's not just in those right-hand side sort of 8 zones where he's being effective. This, again, was a beautiful, beautiful sort of view of him here on the ball in a deeper area when there's a settled block. Look at the way Manchester City is set up. I mean, it was insane how Pep had them. Look, no access towards the forward line. Then look at what Eze does. This is what you need from your attacking player. He drives a little bit and he sees the run from Timber. Look, both those things don't happen if it's Marino in that zone. It's as simple as that. The ball is beautiful into there. Timber is ready to run onto it. He's forcing midfielders, defenders to think backwards. He's attacking the space and being clever with his final actions. That's what we want to see as Arsenal fans. And of course, in this sort of end, as I sort of get confused here, in the end, the ball does end up getting through. Now, this is a new action from Eberechi Eze, more central, more away from Bukayo Saka. But I love this. I really do. Just look at how he's going to receive this. And his first thought is, can I drive? Can I attack space? Can I get into a forward area? So we'll have a look at it. Look at his body weight again. Reinders is going there. And it's a simple touch. See with Eze, he makes efficient, effective touches which can change your body weight as an opponent. And that's a Maverick type ability. He's already on the front foot. He's already with a positive action. And he's already forcing people to think, okay, he's coming at me. Do I protect the space or do I go attack him? And in the end, look at how far he gets. Skipped into this area. Now you're asking questions. He plays that ball into Calafiori, which was really nice. But he's already getting you close to the box. I've not seen a player as good really as Eze, in the Premier League at least, of getting a team to the box. He's one of the very best at doing that. Really, really good. And of course, now I can show you this action into Calafiori. Goes back into Eze. And of course, Eze then finds a ball out to Trossard. It's simple though. That triangle between Eze, Calafiori and Trossard is what you want to see from your 10. Floating across the zones, comfortable, fluid, forward thinking, efficient touches to go forward. It's big. It's absolutely huge. And of course, Trossard's now in a 1v1 situation. And as a winger, you want to be in as many as these as possible. And Eze enabled it for Saka. And now we're seeing him do it, floating over and giving one to Leandro Trossard. Here is another example of Eze again. When I say he's one of the best at getting the ball towards the opposition's box, I really mean it. Look at how he uses the ball here and attacks the space. There's not really even any space, but these are the guys you want in these games. Decisive outside the box. Watch this action. Look at that. Again, it's one frame I've moved there. And you can already see the purpose, the speed at which he's attacking the box, and the way in which he's lost Reinders again. He was giving Reinders a torrid time in this game. I think you guys are now seeing it with his body weight, shifts. All of those things are really important. And Eze was top. He really, really was. And in the end, in this action, actually, he did play it into Timber. Let me go back a bit. Back one again. He did play that ball fast into the feet of Yuri and Timber. And Timber did play it a bit quick. So there we can see Yuri and Timber within the pocket. and Eze plays that ball there. But as Arsenal fans, this is exactly what we want to be seeing. Eze, Saka, Timber, a triangle like that. It could be Eze on the right hand side. It could be Saka receiving in the pocket. It could be Timber driving with the ball. It doesn't matter. But Eze introduced that fluidity to the forward line that we didn't have. And of course, like I said, in the end with that action, Timber is just a bit too slow to react, and it doesn't happen for us. And of course, I mean, the final thing we'll talk about is that wonderful, wonderful assist. But it was a really, really good second half performance from Eze. Look at him. He's showing he can receive even deeper and be a creator and spot these runners. And this is no disrespect to Odegaard, but he simply doesn't have the engine, the ball striking to even pick a pass like this out. The nonchalance at which Eze does do this pass is a dream for a manager. You cannot defend this sort of confidence to play that ball in behind. You can't. Maverick, confidence, and just forward. He's thinking forward at every opportunity. He lost the ball a couple of times in that second half, but I didn't mind because he was always, the first intention was to play it forward. And in the end, obviously, that ball goes into Gabriel Martinelli, and it's a really, really good finish from him. But anyway, Gunners, let me know your thoughts on the performance of Eberechi Eze. Do you think Arsenal were too conservative against Manchester City? Just let me know. Hit the subscribe, but peace.